Welcome back. We're here to work on deep lunge. And so deep lunge, again, another great staple posture, but there are a couple tidbits along the way that can take your deep lunge from a not so great posture to an absolutely empowering pose. So from a tabletop position, Lainey's going to step forward on the exhale with her right leg. Awesome. So when she steps forward with the right leg, assuring that the front knee is over the ankle, and then the back knee is on the floor. Remember, if they need padding under the knee, super simple solution. Just throw a little towel under there or a part of a rolled mat. Now the back leg, the tail of the leg, knee to ankle, is pointing straight back. When people have a lot of tightness in the hips, often the leg will kind of turn in like a gate or a bar, and you just want to make sure that you turn that back out. Perfect. All right, so when Lainey's ready, she's going to take her hands up off the floor. Now she could, on a very basic level, be on blocks with her palms right along the sides of her body, push into, and to maintain a gentle level of stability, this is a great starting ground. But we're going to get to the nit and gritty of this pose here, and we're going to take it one step farther. So where a lot of people go wrong in this pose, and Lainey's going to try to do it safely without hurting herself, she dumps into the pose. Basically, they go as deep as they can, and they sit into the overstretched parts of the hip flexor, and that may mean that the hip pulls out or rolls in. Basically, whatever is the loosest, they're going to drop into it. And their whole body is sunken forward, belly is sunken forward, and they kind of have this really dropped out front of the body. So if Lainey now pushes into her front foot, she's going to come back up again. Perfect. All right, so first things first, we have to square the hips. And Lainey's working really hard, by the way. Keeping the front knee over the ankle, she could probably even take her front foot back, all the way to my fingertips. Perfect, awesome. So again, the knee is on top of the ankle. Keeping the hips square, when she does that, I'm going to take my hands into her front hip fold. She could do this by herself, but I'm going to do it since I'm here. I'm going to roll her thigh out and down. So she feels like the glute of the front leg is underneath her. This is so important in lunges. Not that it's on the side of you and her hamstring. Now as she pushes actively into the front foot, she should feel that whole leg. Keep her in a safe zone. So now as she lunges forward or moves forward into deep lunge, she's going to keep pushing into the front leg. As she works to keep her hips square, now she may be feeling an entirely different sensation through the groin and the quad. Yes, no? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. This is going to be the areas that are restricted, the areas that never get access. This is where you need deep lunge, not the other part where you're overstretched and just kind of moving like Gumby. We're building strength and creating space simultaneously. So I'm going to have her step back with the front foot and then have her switch legs, give her a break, but also I'm going to take you through a couple other cues. Awesome. So feet are hips distance, back foot. We're going to press through the line of the big toe. So you feel like the ankle is, I'm going to use the word straight, is straight or long and in alignment with itself versus crooked and rolled out. This will also bring more integrity to the back leg. Front thigh is rolled down and out. Lainey could do that for herself if she wanted. What may end up feeling then is we want to feel like the hips are level. So I can take my hands right to the top of my pelvis and feel, is one hip lower than the other? If it is, we need to kind of hijack the pelvis, and that means getting that front glute rolled down and out, which is changing how that front femur bone sits in its hip socket. Super important. All right, so as she gently moves into the lunge, her pelvis is not going to dump forward. She's keeping her belly to herself. This is also going to create more stretch in the groin and much more stability for the lower back. Finally, she could keep her hands at prayer. She could open them to cactus or bend and extend her arms straight up overhead. Perfect. Again, that external rotation. If we're looking to have a little bit of a lean back, which I know is so tempting for people, it's a lean back from the hip flexor, not from the rib cage. So as she moves the outer edge of her back hip more forward, so that would be right leg, she's going to feel a deeper stretch, and only to the pliability of that hip and quad is she going to be able to lean back even just a few inches. Do not use the rib cage as a release valve. It will only create more negative tension in your lower back later on. Perfect. Exhale, slowly bring the hands down to prayer, fingertips to the floor, and she can either step forward on the exhale into forward bend or back into down dog. Gently roll yourself up. great job.